Well, there's a story that Lisa and we've been following for some time. It's a report that came out that portrays big food as the new big tobacco and suggests that it links the industry's influence to a global obesity epidemic, along with malnutrition and climate change. To help us kind of dig into the world of big food, we're pleased to have in our studios Adnan Durrani. He is the founder and CEO of Saffron Road. He joins us in our Bloomberg Interactive Brokers studio. Adnan, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Just first, real quickly, give us a background real quickly on what your company is and how you fit into the food chain.
Absolutely. Our name of our company is Saffron Road Foods. You can go to saffronroadfood.com or saffronroad.com. We're a leader in the natural organic food movement. Everything we do has to do with really honoring the sustainable lifestyle of agriculture. So we don't use any antibiotics ever in any of our products. We have a line of frozen entrees that are high-end entrees, and then we have organic snacks, chickpea snacks. We also make sure that all of our farms are certified as humanely raised in terms of the livestock, because we believe in a healthy living system. And we say that we're on a journey to better, journey that's better for the farmers, journey that's better for the environment, journey that's better for the earth, journey that's better for humanity, and especially a journey that's better for your health.
So how much more expensive is it to be on this journey of sustainability versus some of the big food companies that are sort of under attack by this report?
It's not easy. It's definitely an uphill battle, and we fight that good fight every day. So we are at a premium, say, to some other mainstream brands, but not an excessive premium. And we've been fortunate that there's so much good supply chain in the organic farming network now that we can compete at pretty decent levels. But we might have a slight premium to where other products are. But what you're getting as a benefit is your health.
I guess a question I have is, if big food were to adopt some of the recommendations that you yourself follow and that perhaps the authors of this Lancet report were enumerating, how much more expensive would it be to buy food for the average consumer?
That's a good question, and there's been a lot of debate on this topic, and I would actually pose the question in a converse way. How much is it costing us not to do it? Because the health systems are really being strained. You're looking at food accounting for 30% of the greenhouse gases right now. So there could be a short-term expense to making sure that we pivot the food system, because we're really in a crisis right now in the food system. It's what I call the urgency of now. We need to react very quickly because there's systemic changes that are like a tsunami. So it is going to have a slight impact short-term, but long-term, the impact will be sustainable.
What is big food doing to address this issue? It seems like the market is kind of moving there. People are eating more and more organic foods and, farm to table, and even Amazon.com got into the game by buying Whole Foods. So there seems to be some momentum behind this movement. What is your sense of how big food is reacting?
I think recently big food's been reactive instead of really looking proactively at the future, and now they're being more proactive. So big food is doing a much better job. The Lancet report that came out was a very extensive study. You're talking about 14 countries over 3 years participated in this study. And I think the study really pointed out to the fact that in the past, big food's been a bad actor. They really have not. I mean, look at the soda industry, where they spent $50 million trying to convince you that sugar was not the cause of type 2 diabetes in soda, or that it was the cause of obesity. We know that's been debunked totally. So now you look at them spending $22 million a year trying to pass the same messages. So big food has not had a great history in this, but they have a wonderful future in this, because if you look at certain food companies, especially like Nestle, and the wonderful work they're doing with infant nutrition now in terms of really putting out healthier products and beverages, they pivoted to that. So you're seeing a lot of big food companies paying attention that this is not just a fad, but this is actually a big shift in consumer behavior.
Where do you view the biggest crisis here? In the sustainability of some of the supply chains of big food, or more in the sort of ingredients, the nutritional aspects of their products?
I'd say in both, but the leading for me of those two would be nutritional aspects of the products. While we have seen the beverage companies now paying attention to fat and lower sodium and lower sugar in their products, we haven't yet seen that permeate through a lot of the mainstream. So for me, it really is why are so many big food companies still pushing artificial ingredients or products dosed with antibiotics?
Although, have there been studies that have shown that these artificial ingredients are really problematic?
Yeah, there's a lot of research on this now. So you can see that, of course, there's the debate on GMOs, but you don't even need to go to GMOs. If you go to artificial ingredients and look at how it affects infant mortality and infant obesity, which later results in adult obesity, there's very extensive research on this that's shown that.
To the extent that there is meaningful change from big food, do you think it will come from within the industry, or is this something that needs to be regulated externally?
I think there's enough measures within the industry. I think the time is right now. Like Victor Hugo used to say, not all the armies in the world can stop an idea whose time has come. Well, the time has come to have this independent research set up, just like it was for the tobacco industry. And it really did a lot of good for our health system. So I think you do need to have an independent study. It's like letting the fox into the chicken coop to let the big food companies run it.
So what have you noticed in terms of demand for your products over the past few years in terms of where the demand is? I mean, I would gather, my presumption is that there probably is much more adoption in big cities and probably not as quick adoption in other parts of the United States. Am I correct?
For the most part, that's correct, Lisa. But I think that we're seeing now a pervasive systematic change in consumer behavior, especially among millennial consumers, and it's because of the advent of the information age. With the internet, a lot of millennial consumers want transparency. You really have to be bulletproof, like Saffron Road is, where we don't just make third-party claims. So we make sure we have a neutral source making those claims. So you're seeing, like for us at Saffron Road, we're seeing tremendous growth in this category, and so are a lot of smaller companies like us. As a matter of fact, ICG and Boston Consulting put out a report a couple of years ago. I mentioned it last time I was in your program, that 46% of the growth of the $800 billion food and beverage industry is coming from small companies like ours. So we are seeing tremendous acceptance of natural and organic products throughout the country, not just coastally. We're seeing it in the Midwest. We're seeing it in the South. I think this is something the CPGs are finally reacting to and realize that they have to really pivot and shift the products that they're offering instead of offering junk food, because the pandemic isn't just about obesity. It's about having cheap junk food out there.
Adnan Durrani, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Adnan Durrani is chief executive and founder of Saffron Road, talking about that Lancet report that talked about big food being the new big tobacco. Definitely controversial, an increasing topic as people look at greenhouse gas emissions as well as just the nutritional value. Definitely interesting, Paul, to me to see that actually you are seeing the consumer respond. And you have to wonder how much this is going to be driven from within, especially on a day like today when we see Coca-Cola shares plunging the most since 2008.
Yeah, I think to the extent you have consumer pulling through, that is what's going to bring the industry to the table, so to speak.
Indeed.